Background looks good. If I want to ask Coach just to start with a general statement, and then if you have a question for Coach Sawyers, let me know down in the chat and I'll call on you. So, Coach, just your general thoughts going into the season.
Man, I probably feel like everybody does. Everybody's going to like their team right now. It's across the country, everybody's older than they have been in the past with the return of those COVID super seniors. And I think when you return guys with experience and a lot of Division I innings pitched and a lot of at bats, and you have to feel good about that. We're I think fortunate in terms of some of the guys we had return. With our incoming recruits and guys on our roster, we had 4 guys get offered, the free agent, $20,000 free agent deal. 3 of the 4 chose to return for another year at SEMO. So I feel good about those guys, Dylan Dodd and Tyler Wilbur turning down professional baseball. Just in general, I feel like it's the oldest team we've had since I've been at SEMO, and I think it's the deepest, especially on the mound. I thought we had a good club a year ago with the weakness in the bullpen, and I think returning some of those guys allowed us to pump the new guys into the pen and certainly probably shore that up a little bit. So I thought last year, if you look at the end of the stats, we were leading the league in quite a few offensive categories. Did lose Justin Durden to the Houston Astros, and he was voted the most outstanding hitter in our conference a year ago. So obviously his loss will be felt, but a lot of guys back, a lot of guys who are producing at a pretty good level offensively, and hopefully the chance to shore the bullpen up is going to be pretty significant for us.
We're going to start Van Stokes. Go ahead.
Coach, this is Van Stokes from the Governor Sports Network in Austin Peay. I've always said for a number of years that the road to the OVC title passes through a number of schools, but one of those schools is always Southeast Missouri. I'm going to begin with a question about your coaching staff, not about your players. You've got a coach of analytics. You're the only school that I've seen designate someone as a coach of analytics. You've got an offensive coach, designated offensive coach. Talk about your approach with analytics and why you're focusing on offense.
If you follow college baseball, which I'm sure you do, one of the things that we've tried to get past in recent years is the addition of another paid assistant, and that was voted down the last time when we took that to the NC2A. But I think one of the things about college baseball, it's a challenge is, like this year, most people have 40 or more players, and we only have 3 paid coaches, including the head coach. Right? There's a head coach and 2 paid assistants. Or if you compare the player to coach ratio in basketball, I mean, they've got probably 3 or 4 players to every paid coach, where baseball it's over 10. And so I think it's a challenge to get young people into the profession. And so at SEMO, you're talking about Drew Millwood and Trevor Ezell. Those are unfunded positions. We're not paying these people, but Drew Millwood was a junior college assistant. He was coaching almost darn near everything at Rend Lake Community College across the river over in Illinois. And he wanted a chance at Division I baseball. And with all the uncertainty with COVID and the state of Illinois, he didn't know if Rend Lake was going to have a baseball program in the season this year. So he asked if he could join our staff. And, it's a creation of a new position. But he's like, what could we do to add value and find a way to maybe explore an avenue of improving our players and making our program better that we didn't have before. So he's our director of analytics. And, his job is to give us a fresh set of eyes and to maybe analyze our players and our roster and how we go about things in a different way. Trevor Ezell, director of offensive development. Trevor's a young man who played for us. He was an All-American here at SEMO, graduated a year early because he had surgery, and then he graduate transferred and played at the University of Arkansas, where he led them to a College World Series appearance and was their leadoff hitter. Trevor's a young man with deep ties to our program, and he's just a wonderful, wonderful human being. There was kind of a bloodletting in minor league baseball during COVID. A lot of those guys got released when they didn't play minor league baseball last season, and Trevor was part of that. And when he first got released, he and I had a conversation. He's like, "Coach, I'm not sure what I want to do with my life," but I'd always told him he'd be a great coach. And so I told him, I said, "Man, if you can't get anything worked out," he was trying to get signed on with another professional team. I said, "We will have a spot for you at SEMO. We will take advantage of your, character and work ethic and your expertise, whatever form or fashion that may be." So I think those positions, as you look across the country in college baseball, you're starting to see more like video directors and director of analytics and player performance type guys. These are ways that we're trying to get young people into the profession and give them an opportunity to get a toe in the door of college baseball.
Tom Davis, go ahead.
Tom, you're on mute.
Yep. I'm sorry. Slow on this, Coach. Hey, you do have 38 players on your roster this year. That's 5 or 6 more than normal. How are you managing the bigger roster from a practice standpoint and organizational standpoint?
It's really not as big as you think. I think and I'm not going to, there's rumors of people being over 60 and things like that. I don't think anybody in our league is, but so we have 38 right now. Typically you start the year at 35. One of those players is a Division I transfer, so he's automatically ineligible for competition. We knew that coming into it. We had 2 of our incoming guys come in injured, and we know they're not going to compete. So realistically, we've got to deal with 35 guys. So it's not significantly different than it has been for us in years past.
Okay, who is the Division I transfer?
Jeb Callahan.
Okay, and who are the 2 injured players that aren't going to play this spring?
Noah Stone was
Okay.
a college transfer for us, and he came in dinged, had surgery in the fall. His injury did not occur at SEMO. It's kind of something he's been dealing with in the past and was throwing through, and it's finally got to a point where he wasn't going to be effective anymore. And then we've got a young man named Josh Hoffman, who was a left-handed pitcher, and he's been dealing with some injuries. And we'd like to think we'll get him back this year, but that's kind of to be determined. And so I would say he is eligible to compete this year, but we know Noah Stone and Jeb Callahan are not playing this year, and that's we knew that going into it.
Okay, with Wade Stouse and Andrew Keck, they're both catchers. How are you going to work that whole situation with those 2?
Wade's 1A, Andrew's 1B. They both started, Wade started his true freshman year. And then when he had to take a redshirt year due to some concussion issues during his sophomore year, then Andrew Keck during his true freshman year, Andrew started for us. So they both been the starting catcher for us. Andrew is an elite level athlete. I don't have the stats in front of me. I think he might've been 7 for 7 or something like that last year in stolen bases. He could play left. He can play right. He can DH. We will, if we play a 3-game series, Wade Stouse will catch 2 games. Andrew Keck will catch 1 game, but you're going to see Andrew Keck starting left, right, DH. We will use him around the field as necessary, and his athleticism allows him to do that. But both those guys will be in the lineup every single day.
Okay, Dylan Dodd, what makes him so good? What's he do well? Everything?
The breaking ball's been below average since he's been here. I think I'm excited about that. That's the thing that's been the most improvement. So I recruited Dylan Dodd as a 2-way player, and show you how smart I was. I thought he was a better hitter than a pitcher. He was 88 to 90 as a junior college guy with no breaking ball whatsoever, 88 to 90 with a changeup, and came in, did both. It was a 2-way guy his first fall at SEMO. And just felt like his future in professional baseball was going to be on the mound, and it was his decision to just be a PO. And then I think you just see a accumulation of hard work from a good kid. The velo has started to tick up. It was 90 to 92 his first year. Last year it was more like 90 to 94. He was the national pitcher of the week against Ohio last year with a 15 strikeout, 1 walk performance. And then this fall, you can continue to see him trend up, and he, touched some bigger numbers than that. He touched some 6s and 7s in very short outings. But realistically, he's always been a fastball changeup guy with good fastball command. I think the thing that's really exciting for us at SEMO is, he has spent 2 years working at getting spin better. And, he was throwing an 85-mile-an-hour slider this fall and an 80-mile-an-hour true curveball. And the slider's a swing and miss pitch now. If you saw his last time out, he was able to have 2 outings before the storm of the century covered our field and ice. He punched out our best lineup. He punched out, I think 3 in a row with Tyler Wilbur, Wade Stouse, and Austin Blazovic, all on breaking balls. In past, he would not be able to do that. And we really went breaking ball heavy with him with the 2 scrimmages we had to get that pitch in the game and see if he could do it. And to me, that's always been what held him back. He would crush you the first time through the order. Guys would get him in play second time through the order, and they would score. They would score on him the third time through the order. If you're going to be a Friday guy, you've got to have the ability to face the other team's best hitter in the 7th inning with runners on base and get that guy out. And it's really hard to do if you're still doing it with a fastball changeup mix. It's hard to get that third time out. And I'm excited. I think it's a real pitch now. And so I think that's going to be the difference to him going from good to great this year.
Okay, last one for me. Who's going to be your fourth starter? Or is it a bunch of guys battling right now to get into that position?
We've got a lot of guys who I think this is the deepest staff we've had since I've been here. You know, it should be Colin Wilma, who should be our third starter, who had a couple, his overall numbers were bad from a year ago. He pitched at a 7, but he was a freshman and he had one terrible outing, which skewed his numbers. He was going really good for us last year as a true freshman. Collins had a slight injury. It's not a season ender. He's a guy who loves to throw and never takes time off. And he did way more throwing strike than we actually asked him to. And he came back with a little bit of a ding. So we've shut him down. He'll be back this year, halfway through the season. He would be obviously in the mix. And then we have a couple of guys who weren't able to pitch last year for us because they were transfers, some big transfer right-handers. Ryan Vogue ended up being the #1 arm as a true freshman at McKendree University, a Division II school in Illinois. He transferred to SEMO for his sophomore year. He had to sit out last year. And then Austin Williams, who is another Division II transfer, they have to sit out when they transfer up levels. Both those guys are, 88, 92, 6'4", profile looking humans with good arms. And so I think right now you're going to see those guys kind of in that mix. We have a true freshman from Eureka, Missouri, Kyle Miller, who has been fantastic. If we played today, I might close him as a true freshman. He came in, we scored on him his first outing of the fall, and we lit him up. Like Wilbur hit a double, Stouse hit a jack, and he never got scared out of the zone. Usually with the freshmen, you barrel them, they start spraying and get the ball out of the zone because they're afraid of the barrel. We got him really good his first outing, and he was like strike one, strike one, strike one. That was the last time we scored on him in the fall. He threw 5 consecutive scoreless outings after his first up. We'd probably close game 1 today, realistically. And he's just a really competitive 88 to 90 mile an hour mix with 2 different breaking balls with just 0 heartbeat, 0 emotion, just kind of a real flatliner type kid. He could start for us too, depending on how the roles pan out. So those are some of the new guys that we're looking at for those roles.
Okay. Thanks for your time today, Coach.
No problem. Thanks for being here, Tom.
Coach, thanks so much for your time this morning, and best of luck and best of weather to your team over this season.
Thanks a lot. I think might ask Dan to come have a scrimmage in our indoor maybe this week, because I don't know if either one's going to be outside. So we'll see you guys.